just as a little introduction to the whole mindset thing, I love this video. If you've never heard of the Do lectures, you should check them out, but this really makes you think. So if you can't hear the sound, please can somebody say, because I have not practiced this. So if you can't hear the sound, do let me know. Let's see if it even works. Let's see.
Imagine on your deathbed, you are able to see 2 films.
One highlights your achievements. It shows what you could have achieved.
With your ability, talent, and opportunity.
How does that make you feel?
Does it bring you to tears to see what you could have done? The people you could have met?
The races you could have run.
The things you could have made, or the things those things could have made.
The stories you could have told.
When you came to that edge.
If only you hadn't played so damn small.
If only
You haven't taken that step back.
And that one time that you failed, get over yourself. If only you had believed in that crazy, dumb idea.
crazy dumb idea. And that crazy dumb idea.
If only you believed in that crazy dumb idea enough to tell the world about it.
What happened then?
So I wanted to share that with you this morning, because often we do have these crazy dumb ideas. We think they're crazy dumb ideas, but actually it's the first step to change. And that's such an important thing about what we're talking about today. And it's about that entrepreneurial journey. And I'm going to be sharing about mine and the things that have really helped me move from being a solicitor to being an entrepreneur for the last 8 years or 9 years. I forget. I think I'm nearly coming up to 10, to be honest. So I'm just going to share my screen again with you. I'm doing this off the cuff. So let's see. Oh, right. You can't see my screen yet because I've not shared it. I'm trying to get back. Where are we? Hold on a moment. So it's funny. Let me know in the comments if you feel like you've got an idea that you've not taken action on. Tell me about that if you've got one. It'd be really good to hear. So let me just do this. This is all very professional. Let's see. Who's had an idea before and they've not taken action on it? I'd love to know. So let me share my slides. Right. Okay. Can you see my slides? Okay. So the entrepreneur journey, that's what we're talking about this morning. No one's had an idea in the chat. No one has. No one. I feel like you're not telling me the truth here. So this is me, Claire Louise, and this is talking about the journey and the mindset and all those aspects of, well done, Maria. Working it, but going slowly. You know something, slow is really, really important because it's consistency, and we're going to talk about that. It's so important. Andrew's got quite a few. Well done, Andrew. And I've just got the opposite problem. I have lots of skills and lots of interests, but don't feel passionate about anything I look at. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? It's so interesting, like which direction. I have this conversation so often with my friends who want to move into different directions. They're not quite sure which direction to go into. And yeah, it's really tricky. So this is me in 2005. That picture was taken at my desk as a solicitor. And I did that because my dad said, come on, Claire, it's a good thing to go into. Do law. I wanted to go into hotel management, and Dad was like, no, do the law, because then you can go into anything after that. And that's where I was in 2015. And then by 2013 I'd written a book. So Anthony, get that book written. That book was written in 6 weeks. It's not going to win any literacy prizes or anything like that, but actually a lot of people have that book, and a lot of people bought it. It's out of date now, but it was a really great thing to do. And it's amazing when you have something solid like that. It feels like a real thing. And I'm just in the process in my community. We are doing a leadership handbook, which is coming out in April. which is showcasing all the members of my community. And I know that when we get that, it will feel like we really achieved something, because it's that physical thing. So is that why Tim says that's why he became a solicitor as well? Yes, your dad said, yeah, let's do that. That's like so dull. But then, yeah, anyway, so that was me moving on that entrepreneur journey. But it actually really starts for us all here. This is where the jigsaw puzzle starts coming together. So that's me about a month old. That's me crying at a party. I always would cry at parties. I don't know, I just couldn't deal with the emotions. I was just really emotional. And that's my family, my mum and dad and my brother and sister. And then there's me at school with my pumpkin made out of a swede. I never even thought about that before. That's the kind of mum I am. Like, it hasn't ever got quite what we need. Mum had obviously found a swede, but no pumpkin. So we've got, that's quite funny. In fact, I've never thought of that before. So I'll mention that to her. So it's here that the conditioning begins. So we're all born into this, we're born into whatever culture, the family, we end up at a school, we're educated by the teachers who are at that school, and all of these things starts to teach us like what life is about, and that patterning that will start to show up in our lives as we move through and grow older, and then end up in the workplace. And then if you are an entrepreneur, all of the things that you are experiencing now have initially stemmed from these first periods of your life. And you sometimes don't really appreciate how much unconscious stuff is running the show for you. And this is why I wanted to share this slide with you, because things that happened in your childhood are creating your reality today. And once you become aware of something, awareness is always a first step to change. And once you are aware of something, then you can take steps to change. But if you don't become aware of it, obviously it's really, really hard to change. Exactly, Susan. So your mum said, don't get ideas above your station. Exactly. And I've been doing so much work around this recently about what happens, and even in the first few years of your life. So when I was born, 17 months later or something, my mum had an 11-month-old baby who was stillborn, and then her dad died and my grandma died, and I just know that there was a lot of upset and anguish around me when I was young. And does that mean that that's why I like to give to people more, because of those kind of things that happened when I was young? So it's interesting when you go back. Jeremy says, we always use turnips, never heard of pumpkins till later. Oh, maybe there you go then. Maybe it wasn't so bad after all. So the first step is, how do you go from where you are now, so wherever that might be, to where you want to be? So I was a solicitor, and now I work for myself. I'm here on a Saturday morning. I'm chatting to you guys, which I love doing. I set my own schedule. I pick my children up from school. I do all those things. But how do you get, and how does one get from where you are now? And maybe you're happy where you are now, or maybe you aren't. Like, people are always looking for that blueprint. Like, where's that magic blueprint? Where can I get the blueprint from that's going to take me from here to there? Hi, Susan. It's nice to meet you too. So you're never going to get there if you don't know where you want to go. So the first step to everything is clarity and having purpose. So there is no magic boat. I'm sorry to say, there's no magic wand that's going to take you. Like, all the things that I achieved over the years were just taking the next step and going on to the next step and the next step. And I didn't know what I wanted, but I knew early on, and I'll talk about this in a moment, about things that I was passionate about and I really wanted to bring into the world. Yes, Edward, exactly. So it keeps us that's what keeps us down as a nation, when we're conditioned to meet false ceilings and reality. Yes. And that's the thing, we are conditioned into the way, our way of being, like what is acceptable. And the difficulty is, and the difficulty I have found is, I don't live a conventional life. And a lot of people I've known for a few years, they do run conventional lives and they have normal kind of jobs and they are in 2.4 families and all those kind of things. And it's really lonely. And that was one of the reasons I created my community, to connect leaders so you don't feel lonely and you can get those conversations that are in your head out there. So I want you to write down, where do you want to go? Now, if that's ultimately to leave your job, and this is where we were talking about a little bit about the law of attraction. It's like the way you set yourself up and your mindset will help you attract those opportunities that will move you towards your goal. And it's like the example of the sat nav. If you get in the car and then you just drive, you turn the sat nav on, you're driving for an hour and you're like, are we there yet? But unless you set the destination on the sat nav, you're never going to know if you've got there. The sat nav can't direct you if it doesn't know where you're going. And it's the same in life. It's like, use analogies of life to understand how you can move from where you were or are to where you want to be. And if you don't change anything, you're going to get the same results. So you need to change things. Awesome, Abigail. You want to leave your job? Brilliant. Like, that's so good. Like, the fact you've even written that publicly is amazing, Abigail, because people just sit in the routine. And I'll talk about why people don't make change in a moment. But the fact that you just announce it, like, okay, I want to move my job. And you've got some goal there. That's what I want to do. Okay. And then we look at what you need to get over. So a lack of discipline is a lack of clarity and purpose, because consistency is key. So if you're not disciplined, so if you want to leave your job, okay, well, you're going to need to replace that income stream. So maybe you need to, for example, start building, and you want to be a yoga teacher and run your own yoga practice. You need to start a discipline and start a practice that will grow the possibilities of that happening. So you want to be around people who enjoy yoga. You want to maybe start an email newsletter, even if it's to 5 of your friends talking about yoga and what it means to you. Or maybe you start to set up a social media channel and you start hustling at home in the evenings. You start talking, you start consuming information about yoga. Excellent, Alfred. He wants 20 new clients and 5K of revenue. You know something, it's super interesting because I did some work around releasing and limiting beliefs and flow, and I did some work around receiving in terms of money, and I got it was £3,000 or £4,000 check through the post out of the blue from a savings account I'd forgotten about that had gone to an old address. I got £500 in cash, no lie, sent to my home address. Like, literally, I opened it and there was cash in there. It was the craziest thing ever. Like, you read this on things and you think that cannot happen, but it totally did. But consistency is key. Like, if you want to go into a new thing, you've got to do something consistently. Consistency builds momentum. So there's different routes to change. So if you do want to leave your job, it might be you have a career break. So for me, I had children and it gave me a bit of a career break, and that was kind of my shift into it. Maybe you get redundant. And there's a really good book by, I think her name's Emily Tweddle or something like that. And I've said that, really good book. But there's a book about how redundancy really can be that. It feels like it's the end of the day, but actually it's just a sign that, okay, this has not worked out for me. And at the time, it might feel really awful, but you're going to learn lessons from that. And it's going to take you in a new direction. So things that feel really painful at one time or other are really there for your personal growth. And I really, truly believe that. So serendipity. So this is how young Simon looked when I first met him, pretty much. And serendipity is, have you ever had that time where you've just been thinking about somebody and then they've rang you? Or you could say it's coincidence, or is it serendipity? And that's how, I personally believe there's more to life than you think. And often this will happen. So you'll just say you wanted to move into doing exactly, Leslie, no such thing as a coincidence. Everything's a learning opportunity. So if I've said something today and it's triggering you, and you're like, she has got no idea what she's talking about, it actually isn't me. It's like there's something in there that's triggered you, because like I was saying about conditioning, we pick up things from our childhood and from our families and all of those things. And when things trigger us, it's because it's hitting a wound that's happened before. So if you were always picked on at school and I just said something that triggered you and it reminded you of you being picked on at school, you would probably think it was my fault because I'd said something to you. But we have to take responsibility for ourselves. So if your family are triggering you, maybe it's because you don't actually feel good enough. And so when they say things to you, it triggers you. It's really deep work. So Serendipity was the time that I was around this time, actually, and I put this in, especially for Edward, was about The Secret. I don't know if you've watched The Secret, pop it in the comments that you've watched The Secret. But The Secret is about the law of attraction. And the stuff around The Secret is pretty much, it's like, write this check and it will come true. And actually, I read some stuff about The Secret, and the people who spoke in The Secret, they talk about, the words you say and them coming true, and you can create your reality and all of those kind of things. But they missed out and they cut out from the edit all the stuff about taking action to make things come true. So I do think this is true, though. The law of attraction can also be called the law of creation. In other words, life is not happening to you, you are creating it. And so you create your life through, and this is all my beliefs, and if it's not your beliefs, that is fine, but this is how I see it. You create your life through your conscious and your unconscious beliefs. So unconscious beliefs are quite often running the show underneath, and they're trying to keep you safe. And so if you're getting the same results, there could be something unconsciously that's holding you back. So in terms of serendipity, this was the first time I saw Simon Coulson, and you can find this on the internet, on YouTube. And I was introduced to Simon, and his YouTube video, he said, come and watch this YouTube video. And I was like, oh, I don't want to watch this YouTube video. I've got stuff to do. And I remember sitting on the sofa like this. Oh God, I don't want to watch this YouTube video. And I watched the YouTube video and I listened to what Simon said. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need to do his 3-day diploma. And so that evening, whoops, I pressed something now. You've gone now. Let's see. I pressed the wrong thing. There you go. That evening, I signed up and I went along to his 3-day diploma. And that's actually a picture of me when I spoke at his event. But before that, I was just one of the participants in a room as big as that. And I remember sitting there, and I remember I arrived the first day and I didn't want to get out of the car because I was in London. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's so dangerous in London. And the M25 is so busy, and what's going to happen to me? And I remember peering like that, going through the window the night before, and I could see Simon setting up. I was like, there's Simon. I was like, oh my gosh, it's Simon Coulson. And the long story short is, some months later, I ended up talking to that whole audience, and I was on a completely different life path. So one of the ways I got there is I followed, and this is really important, what excites you. You need to follow the signs. And when you're excited, it's also, things that scare you as well are probably the things that you need to be thinking about as well. Like, what are you fearful of? Like, so in my example, I was really excited by membership sites. I was like, we learned about it in the 3-day diploma. I was like, it's brilliant. Like, you can build relationships with people. You don't have to just sell them something and then say bye. You can carry on. And so I followed it. So if you're watching today and I mention something like a book or something, not my book, it's out of date, but any other book I mention in a moment, if it feels exciting to you or your intrigue peaks. So if someone mentions a book to me, I buy it. I've got so many books, and then I read it. Because it's about following the breadcrumbs. And as you follow the breadcrumbs, it will take you on the pathway, which will help you unlock more to your dreams and living the life that you really want to live. So this is where I started. So you can see, like, I've been through loads of different names. Like, I was called membership expert for ages and ages. I wrote the book about membership sites, like, let's talk about membership. And then I realized it was much more about community building, and that was what was important to me. So I just want you to see that there is an evolution, and you will go through different points. And, I became a coach, and this is me at the top, doing some coaching at one of the events. And actually that picture, I can't see because I've got my thing over it. That picture, and on the right with me and the guy and holding a piece of paper, that's actually a £10 note. And that guy was whose name I can't remember now, but he bought my first book. He bought the first copy of my book. He was like, a good time that was when I sold my book. So ask yourself, are you an opportunity taker? So I always take opportunities, like, all the time, and they cost me money. So for ages and ages, I'd go and work at Simon's events for free, mixing in the right circles. It cost me to go to London. I'd invest in my time and helping others. But I take opportunities all the time. So I worked with Daniel Priestley. I helped at his events before. Shah Wasmond, that's at her MBE party that she invited me to. I just kind of took opportunities that came up. And there again, you can see as me on stage, and you can see the logo Ethos CX. That was another logo. I tried it out. I was like, I want to put culture and community into the workplace. So I tried out that brand, and then I ditched it because it didn't really work. So I just want you to know that nobody has a magic formula for this. It is definitely about trial and error and going through a whole process. And then at the bottom, there's me in an orange ING jumper, because the guy next to me is called Robbie Richmond, and he worked at a company called Zappos, which was bought out by Amazon for $1 billion. And he invited me to Amsterdam to teach me how to facilitate something called open space. And he charges something like $20,000 for an hour talk. Or actually, I think he did one a few weeks ago for 10 minutes, and he got $20,000, like talking for 10 minutes and getting 20,000. But he invited me because we got connected from another mentor of mine, and he invited me out to Amsterdam, and he taught me how to facilitate this event that he got paid tens of thousands of dollars to do. And when I was there, the guys at ING said to me, oh, you should do the next one because you're more local, because he had to be flown in from America. But there was an opportunity I didn't take, because I was scared. I was like, oh, who am I to do this? And I should have done. So always take opportunities. So let me know if you've got any questions. I feel like I'm just talking all about me today. So you need to think about your circle of influence. So who do you surround yourself with? So if you are in a crowd and they're always spend Friday and Saturday nights drinking, it's likely that will become your norm, and it will seem more normal to do that. But if you're around people who are business owners and entrepreneurs, and they're looking at how to grow their businesses or how to get through issues they're having within their businesses, it's going to rub off on you. So it's really important that you surround yourself with the right people. Thank you, Dave. So who is in your circle of influence? Who do you spend time with? And famously, it's like the 5 people, I think it's the 5 people you spend the most time with are the ones that are really going to influence your behavior and your outcomes. So you need to choose that circle really, really carefully. So then think about your mentors. Now, I was putting this slide together and I couldn't even remember all my mentors. I think I've got over 30. I've had over 30. So when I look back at my mentors, I've had some of the best mentors in the world, like literally. And some of them became friends and mentored me as part of our friendship. Others, and a lot of them, I invested in, I paid for them. And it's a big expense. But if you want people to believe in you, you need to put the work in and invest. So things that I share with you today would have come from one of these mentors. And so it's important that you do surround yourself with the right people. Julian says, it's difficult to be around positive people. Okay, so why is it difficult? Because I'm not denying it isn't difficult, but it's like, it's finding groups where positive people or people who got the same mindset of you hang out. So it might be, you know, in the past I've looked on places like Meetup, and maybe there's a business group meeting in your local town or city, and you could go along to that, and people have a different mental attitude to things. So see if you can find, and it is difficult, it's tough times in so many ways at the moment, but there are opportunities out there if we look for them. So again, who are your friends? Like I said, so this is one of my friends who I met in 2018, and we met at a business event. It was a big investment to go to that business event. And over the years, we've ended, like now, we speak through Voxer, which is like a walkie-talkie app, a bit like WhatsApp, but you can leave messages and then listen at the same time if you happen to be there. And if not, you can leave a message. But we speak every day. Now, Lindsay set up, she sold over £500,000 worth of online courses. She set up a whole business around helping children with their mental well-being and health in schools. She set up a business and she's got a virtual assistance business as well. So we don't talk about business all the time, but if I've got issues, I tell them, and she helps me and she motivates me, and she's got that right mindset, and we're in contact every single day. We have that kind of thing. We like share what's going on every single day, and it's really, really important. She's got health issues at the moment, but every time I speak to her, like half the time, and she's got quite significant health issues, but she doesn't even mention them very often. And that is the kind of people you need to be around. You need to kind of find them. Let's have a look. Okay. So Julian says it's difficult to go out because of your disability, and that it's difficult because you've got something else to deal with that, you know, so many of us are lucky enough not to have. However, there's lots of online groups, and most of my time is spent on online groups. So especially if you look on meetup.com, you'll find online meetups, and this has increased a lot lately because of COVID. So not as many people are going out to events. So it's kind of like an ideal time. You can also go to Facebook groups as well, look for your interests around there and find people there. And there are people out there. So, but it's about putting yourself in the mindset, and I'm going to talk in a minute about what you're consuming, because this really, really helps. So this is something that you hope people say to you, but at the same time feels horrible. And that is, people say to you, you've changed. And that'll sort of happen, because if you're going to take yourself from where you are now to somewhere new, change is the whole point. That's the whole point of it. And people won't like it. And I've experienced this myself. Like, I've shed lots of friends, like whole groups of friends. I've had all kinds of different personal things go on because I've been on this journey. And it's difficult, I'm not going to deny it, but if you want to change, and you will change, but people won't like it. People don't like seeing people move on. So it's painful. It really is painful. You'll lose people, you'll lose relationships, you'll lose friends, you'll feel like the odd one out. But it depends whether you want to live a life like everybody else or you want to live a different life. So like I say, my friend Lindsay, she's got really severe issues, but she says, you know, she just speaks in a positive manner, and she shifts her mindset up. So what are you feeding your mind with? Okay, so here's one example, TED Talks. Like, are you consuming TED Talks? Now, if you're consuming reality television, I'm not saying you shouldn't ever watch reality television, and maybe it's nice as something to wind down with, but you will take on board what people are saying on there, and you'll get into this small-mindedness of she said this about me and and all those kind of things. And I know that's kind of popular, but that's popular for the masses. And if you want to be different from the masses and you want to shift your life and have a more impactful life and leave your mark on the planet and, do all those great things, you've got to do things different from everybody else. Because if you do the same as everybody else, you'll get the same results as everybody else. And one of my mentors, Daniel Priestley, 5 years ago or something, said, stop consuming the news. And some people are like, I remember when we had the Brexit stuff, and my dad said something about somebody to do with Brexit. He was like, what? You don't know who that is? I was like, no, I don't know who it is. But I always think that you've got this sphere of influence, and some people will judge me because I don't know much about politics. I actually did A-level politics and got a B. So I used to know about politics and American politics, and I've got 2 degrees and I've got loads of experience in kinds of different things. But that is not my sphere of influence. I'm not trying to make an impact on the political arena and do that. I want to build communities. I want to connect leaders, and I want them to feel less lonely and more heard. And that's what I'm doing. And I'm making massive impacts there. We can't impact everything. And if you read the news, and don't get me wrong, I look through the news, but I don't watch the 10 o'clock news. I used to watch it every day. So you watch the 10 o'clock news, you hear about all the misery, you hear about all the stuff going on in the world, all of that horrible stuff, which is, I'm not saying we've got to just turn our blinkers to it, but all I'm saying is you hear all this stuff and then you go to sleep and your unconscious mind is playing it through all night. And then we go on social media and see, which is effectively the highlight reel. Like, are people telling the truth on social media? Are they putting up all the struggles they're having? No, they're like, hey, I'm here on my holidays, I'm here, I'm doing this. And, and I'm guilty of sharing the highlight reel to some extent as well. But I do share the actual journey as well. So just be so careful about what you're feeding your mind with. Like, for ages, yeah, Ricky, amazing, living in Spain and not having the TV, brilliant. Yeah, you can't let other people's problems, like Julian says, become yours. Yeah, you can learn so much from TED Talks, Andrew, and also look at the Do lectures. They have loads of talks as well, brilliant talks as well. So just be careful. So I used to always just watch documentaries on Netflix and things, and then I got a bit, I was always learning, or always on an online course. It's like, Claire, you need to do something a bit more. So I've watched a few more things lately, but I never watched stuff about violence and murder and all of those kind of things. So I'm like, does that enhance my health or well-being, or does it make me more nervous of the world? So I don't watch that stuff. Yeah, exactly. That's good. Not listen to the news because it's always negative. So yeah, it's really powerful. So, and Spain is beautiful. I haven't been to Spain for ages. Hola, ¿cómo está? That's my dog side then. It's like, Claire, don't do your Spanish accent. So what are your values? So there's a picture of a tree here, because this is a depiction of values. So if you imagine you are the tree, and all those bits coming off the tree, the branches are your values. So what do you value? So if you looked at my tree and what I do and what I surround myself with, I have a lot of, so all my books, I have hundreds of books. They're business books, self-development books, spiritual books. I have like maybe 2 fiction books, like literally no fiction books. I have a gym membership. I have a dog that I take out walking, so I value health and well-being. I have an organic vegetable box delivered because I don't eat much meat. I mainly eat vegetarian meat and vegetarian stuff. So, like, you can see what my values are. So if you look around you, like, who are my friends? So today my friend's coming to stay for the weekend. She's my friend from university. I've known her since I was 18, and she runs her own business, and we're super aligned. And like, who are my friends? I don't have many friends because I pick ones that I'm super aligned with. It is a beautiful tree, isn't it? It is actually really nice, Susan. Edward says he's learned so much through YouTube, like Sly Stallone's journey through near poverty to superstardom. Yeah, but most people refuse to go through what he went through to get where he is. And Arnold Schwarzenegger was the same. They had very little, but did so much with what they had. Learning curve right there. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Ricky, that's amazing. Yes, exactly. The roots of the tree is your subconscious mind. Exactly. So I'm always looking, like I said about breadcrumbs, always looking. So I have noticed that I put limits and ceilings on where I'm going with things, especially around finance. Yesterday, I went for hypnosis around finance because I've got subconscious thoughts. And actually, Simon Coulson and I were talking about this the other day, and he actually came up with, in fact, I think I booked the session after speaking to him, because he said, maybe you've had an early negative association with finance. And I was like, so I tried hypnosis. So yes, so keep looking and keep trying. And, we had that conversation maybe last week, and I went yesterday and had hypnosis. So we'll see how that turns out. It's funny because I thought they were going to get the, like the thing go, they don't do that. That's just in the movies. So my values are growth and contribution. So often I show up and help at events because I like contributing. I'll do things for free, but no more now. I've been hypnotized. And growth. So I'm always involved in courses. I'm sign up for courses. I go on courses. That's really what's important to me. So entrepreneurship is not just about strategy. It's definitely not about strategy. There's actually a good book by Seth Godin, if you know Seth Godin, and it's about the dip. It's like when you're working and then you're going to this dip and you think you're going to achieve these goals and you're working to get towards that vision, and then it's like, how do you keep going? So I think it's quite a short book. So I just saw that. I thought I'd drop that in. So I think mindset's 80% of the game here and 20% is the strategy. It's super, super important to get the right mindset. Thank you, Edward, for sharing the link. Can everyone see the links, or is it just me? If you can see the link, I won't reshare it, but if you can't, but yeah, really important. So Tim says there's a fascinating program on BBC Two this morning at 8:30, The Human Body, Secrets of Your Life Revealed, which shows how the mind works and how your genes change. Oh, I'll watch that. That's really good. Oh, I love Saturday School, talking to you guys. No, you can't see the link. Okay, I'll get the link. Right, so this is a recommendation from Edward. Okay. Oh my gosh, look. Look, did you see that? I don't even know why that happened. We've got confetti on the 80-20. Oh my word, I don't know why that happened. How exciting. Wow, the links are showing. Are they? Oh, cool. Okay, the link is showing. Okay, it's showing. How did you see the link from that? I don't know. It's a good job Simon's not watching this, isn't it? He probably is. It's like, what's she doing? How did I do that? Anyway, this is the link that Edward shared. Command me. Oh no, it's not going. It's not sharing it. I'll do it in a minute. So, must hurry up, Claire. Not supposed to be having fun. Okay, so The Big Leap is a book that I read. I'm going to reread it, and it's about how we get to this ceiling, and then we need to go on that further leap to hit the barrier and break through the financial barrier, all of those things. So that's worth looking at. Oh my gosh, Kieran's talking about, did you know that trees use mycelium network to communicate with each other? Interesting Netflix show called Fantastic Fungi. Well, I didn't know that, but I did know it. I'm going to take a picture of that because I met a guy on a business event I went to in September, and he told me all about it. And I loved it so much, I thought I could call a community mycelium, because it's amazing that you communicate, all the trees communicate with each other through this thing called mycelium. And it's like that, and if there's issues, they can tell each other between each other. It's really, really exciting. So this is the kind of stuff you want to be consuming on Netflix, not something about some rubbish thing, Below Deck or something, where there's all these people falling out on a boat. Anyway, The body keeps the score. Yes, Alison. In fact, Lindsay, my friend I just told you about, she's been rereading that book. It keeps coming up into her, like she said, it's come up. A few people have mentioned it and she's looking into it. Okay. So human needs, we all have human needs. And there's a guy called Maslow who created the hierarchy of needs. So as long as the needs on the bottom are met, then we can move up to the next layer of needs. So you're not really bothered how you are looking and about freedom and new vision and blah, 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 if you're worried you haven't got your psychological needs met. So if you haven't got air or water or food or shelter, you're not worrying about your Instagram feed, for example. So we stop ourselves from doing things because we have this safety underneath. We need to feel like we're safe. So if you are working in a job, you might not go and say, I don't agree with this, because you fear that you might lose your job if you create issues within the business. And so you don't speak up. And so that's why there's some issues, you know, when we're in working environments. So what we need to do is build trust and connection. And as we move up the hierarchy of needs, then we feel like we're able to hit our purpose and make more impact in the world. And we can't do that unless we've got our needs met. And that's why if you're going to start a new business, you need to know that you've got enough finance in place to keep the roof over your head, because if you haven't, it's going to be really, you're not going to be able to work solidly on those visions because you're too nervous, and it will kick in that your need is to survive. So procrastination is often about what it's keeping you safe from. So you think, oh, well, maybe I'm lazy, but I procrastinate because of things like I was saying, like growing up, I saw a lot of conflict around money and families fighting around money. And so I think that I like to push money away, or I'll just get enough and then spend it because I don't want it to cause conflict. So procrastination might be keeping you safe from something. So maybe if you want to leave your job, you're procrastinating over it because your need is to be safe, like I showed you on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So what's going on in the unconscious mind? Like, how did you learn to stay safe? And so if something happened when you were younger, you might realize that you don't speak up, because if you speak up, then you might be threatened, or you might be thrown out of the house, for example, which is your place of safety. So your unconscious mind is always running the show behind the scenes. So there's loads of different modalities that you can use to help you process these inner parts of being a human. So I've done lots of different ones. Breath work is a way to release emotions, because emotions that are trapped in the body are that's the way that like disease in many respects is dis-ease in the body. Like trapped emotions can get stuck in the fascia, and I did lots of work around this, and it can, and often if we've got some kind of stiffness in the neck or something, it's because we're holding on to something. And breath work can help you release emotions from the body through the breath, obviously, because it's called breath work. Meditation can put you in a space of calm. And my friend, she was really stressed for a long time. I kept saying, you must meditate. And then once I met her, and about 2 hours into the conversation, she said, oh, I started meditating after you said. I was like, gosh, you are different. She was totally different. She had some things coming up in her family and some redundancies and things, and the way she was approaching it was really different. So meditation feels like, well, it's not doing anything, I need to do anything, you know, what is it I'm doing? But actually meditation is really, really powerful, and it gives you that space for ideas to come in and for you to connect with things that feel really true to you. And where you're not forcing stuff, it is very natural and it will come through. And I was doing something with my community and this book, in fact, and we had this outline that had been brought forward, and this was how they wanted to move forward with it. And I put on some focus music and I sat with my notepad, and it all just came out of me. It was just easy. And that's what we want to do. We want to be in flow. You might have heard the words being in flow. So where you're in flow, It's where things happen and where synchronicities will happen and just the right thing will turn up. And it can be, I often do this, like I need a parking space and the parking space will always be there for me. And I expect it to be there. And that's again, like the law of attraction. Exactly, Edward. Mindfulness meditation. Try Insight Timer, everybody. Focus music. Oh, I bought some, it's just meditation music and it was for focus. I bought it from somewhere. But there's different kinds of music. There's an app called, I think it's brain.fm. I definitely think it's brain.fm, and you can get music there that can put you into focus. I think that's what the app's called. Mine wasn't from there. I used to use that. I think that's what the app's called. So it basically changes the wavelengths in your brain and can get you into more of a focused mind. And then Insight Timer is a meditation app, and I'm up to, I think, 440 days consistently meditating every day. And sometimes it's just 5 minutes. Maria says focus at is good too. So focus at, I don't know that one. Thank you for sharing. That's a good one. I haven't shared that message from you, Edward, that link. I'll try and do that in a minute. So you can go deeper into all of this. I could go on about this for ages, but I've looked at so many things. I went into a sort of rabbit hole of stuff and kept going and going. And there's something called human design. It looks at the time we were born and different aspects. I can't even remember now what it does. It just does all kinds of stuff, like there's different kinds. We're all different. I think I'm a generating manifester, it's called. But it's a way to understand how humans work. Soul plan, I actually became a soul plan practitioner about 2 years ago. I was really interested in it, and it looks at it basically uses your birth name, and your birth name is the energy that you are set up in this life to be. So it's like you're formed, you're given this name, and then it uses your birth name to generate these numbers that you can see on this triangle star thing. And it's really interesting because it will take you through things that will play out for you, worldly goals, and then into a spiritual part of your journey as well. And when you look at it, will show up what your talents are, but it will also show what the challenges will be for you to uncover those talents. And I learned how to do readings to really tap deep into what plays out for us in our lives, challenges and talents, and how we reach what our soul destiny is. And it's super interesting. Intuitive work is really important, like relying on your intuition, looking into stuff like that, and doing modalities like yoga and breath work and all those kind of things can really help you connect more with you rather than always looking outside of yourself. And numerology, I've never done that myself. Someone was telling me about it yesterday. The hypnosis lady was telling me about it. So that's another thing you can look into if you're interested. Ricky says Paul Scheele has great CDs using binaural beats. So binaural beats are something really cool that you can, Paul Scheele, there you go. Binaural beats can get your brain to the right kind of mode for more productivity, more connection, that kind of thing. We've got loads of Necker Cube as well, which is what Kieran's just said, Necker Cube. I feel like we could go into all of these things. I've been doing all this stuff for years. So here's some book recommendations. I need to shoot through these, got to finish in a moment. So this is kind of like my first, I guess, spiritual insights from this book, a bit more about, the journey about yourself and how you show up in the world. And it was really an important book to me. I bought it for 3 or 4 friends and they've enjoyed it as well. So I definitely recommend that book. The 4 Agreements is a short book, but really important book to how you show up in life and the things that you do and do. 4 Agreements. I'm not going to mess it up by doing the wrong explanation, but it's a good book. And Letting Go, I bought this for a friend in August actually, and he was like, oh my gosh, this book was so profound for me. And it's about surrendering and moving yourself up the emotions, because if you're in lower emotions, you vibrate at a lower level, because energy is so infectious. So if I come on here this morning and I'm like, hello everybody, well, this is a book, you know, like you can feel it. You're like, we're not even next to each other, you can feel it. Emotions are so important, and so this helps you move up the cycle of emotions to ones that vibrate higher and will attract more aligned opportunities. So because if you are on a higher vibration and a higher energy, then you will connect with people on similar energy. So if you're feeling in the doldrums, everyone you talk to, like every time I go on holiday or go somewhere, I always have a great experience. I had to go to hospital the other day. It was an amazing experience. And then actually on the radio on the same day, I heard someone saying, oh, it's awful and everything's bad. And maybe it is bad, but it's not been my personal experience. Is that coincidence? Is it why don't I have these experiences? Any book by The Do, I would definitely recommend. So they do these short little books. They're really amazing. We've got one here. The Do, this one is Do Open, how a simple email newsletter can transform your business. And they're beautiful books as well. They're really like got nice pictures in and stuff. I love The Do. Definitely buy any of their books. And they're on different topics as well. So I think Do Walk, Do Earth, Do Wild Baking, all kinds of things. So definitely recommend The Do. Inspiring stuff. If you can't meet anybody, like we were saying in the chat before, if you can't meet anybody and you can't go out, then book recommendation by Ricky, what I would say is just consume as much as you can online of good stuff. Like I said, the Do lectures, TED Talks, we've had some stuff shared in the comments. I'll find that link in a minute from Edward. So can you share it again, Edward, for me, so I don't need to go back? So I seem to be able to copy and paste now. So even if you can't meet people, you can fill your mind with stuff that's really, really important. So are you lucky or unlucky? Like that could be a whole generation, you know, like a whole question. Like, do you think you're a lucky person or an unlucky? Put in here if you think, put in the chat if you think you're unlucky or lucky. Just tell me, are you a lucky person or unlucky? Let me know. And neither. Oh, interesting. Neither. Oh, we've got some neithers. We've got some lucky Eddie. Excellent. And yet podcasts are super motivational. Use those. Massively lucky Ricky. Yay. Lucky. I don't know what you, or are you neither? You just like that. Vanilla. Is that what the neither is? Unlucky. You know something, Mark? You put you're unlucky, born Friday the 13th, but I tell you something. There's some video that's like the chances of being here are like 1 billion and something to 1. That is a really good video. And so you're definitely lucky because you're here on this planet now, living this experience. So I hope I'm not upsetting you by doing that. Thank you, Edward. That's the link that Edward shared for something good to watch. The Magic of Thinking Big is a really good book. And it says things like, you know, where you go and you sit at the front of the room instead of sitting at the back. And you do all those kind of things because like, if I go to an event, I always sit at the front and I always put my hand up, and I put my hand up at something and it ended up with this really amazing opportunity just because I asked a question. So are you an optimist or a pessimist? Glass half empty or half full? It really does make a difference. Routines create discipline. Like, what do you do in the morning? Do you get up? Do you scroll social media, or do you go out for a run? Do what you say you're going to do, because you're not really trying to impress anyone but yourself. So if you commit to going to the gym, then you're like, oh, we're not going to go. You just don't trust yourself for other things, and you need to build up that trust. So, and you need to push things outside of your comfort zone. So I said to you, like, I said that I went on a business course, and I did in September, and it was outside my comfort zone in terms of the expense of it. It was a long way away. I had loads of logistics to sort out about it, but I went, and part of it was at 7 a.m. I went for a sea swim. I did not want to go for a sea swim in Wales. I did not. But in my head, I was like, I've got to go, because if I don't go, I'm not achieving, and it's not going to enhance my life by just staying in bed. So I went. You've got to do that. Focus on the gain, not the pain. This is right, Susan. Your tomorrow is defined by your today. So what you do today will define what's going to happen by tomorrow. Well, and discipline is freedom. So if you dabble in stuff, it's misery. You just like dabble at this, try a bit of that, try a bit of the other. Like, be disciplined, make the commitment and keep going with it. Yes, Susan. Yeah, Susan's actually put it quite deeply, but I'll share it. So she said she is neither lucky or unlucky. So if we are the creators of life, we are either lucky or unlucky, depending on how we feel at the moment of creation, what we feel we deserve. I sometimes punish myself because other people are suffering. Crazy. Exactly. We do, don't we? I know. So remember, thank you for sharing, Susan, an inch is progress. I want you to celebrate the wins. Honestly, like, even if you do one thing, like this morning, celebrate. You could be in bed now, still asleep. However, you have shown up and you are here on this webinar and you're learning. So that's a win for me. You don't have to like write a book by tomorrow. It's still a win. So discipline is the bridge from a dream to accomplishment, because then you'll feel amazing, but discipline will get you there. Do the newsletter every day. Show up on social media and share what's important to you about life, or whatever it is you're going to do, but just keep going. You create your own reality. So conscious and unconscious beliefs and experience and your experiences. So as we've spoken a lot about today. So I want to just share this video with you before. It's a mentor of mine actually, who actually founded a business called Buy One, Give One. So it's about, and you can sell through your business, and then people can invest in amazing projects around the world. And he founded that business. He shared this with me, and I'm going to share that with you in a second, and then we're going to move on. So let me just find that video for you. Right. Okay, I've got that video. Okay, let's see. So thank you for all your comments. We're going to finish in a moment. Let me just, I knew this wouldn't be smooth. I wanted to embed this video, but I couldn't quite work out how to do it. But we're going to just go with what we've got here. We're running out of time. Share screen. Share the screen. It doesn't look pretty, but hey, you can see it. Okay, you can all see that? Hopefully you can. I can't make it bigger. Right, just so when you all to take a breath before you watch this. Okay.
Canvas is so easy to use. People always tell us that our design.
Hey, I don't care who you are, what race, what age, what gender. I don't care about any of that stuff. But what I do know is that you have a dream inside of you. And that dream you have kept hidden from the world. You've made excuses for it. You've delayed it. You've listened to people telling you to be realistic. But deep down in your heart, you know that you're not living to your potential. And life is now something you're just getting on with. I want to lay some reality on you real quick. Where is the wealthiest place in the world? Do you know? It's not China. It's not Dubai. It's the graveyard. Because in the graveyard, you will find inventions never invented, businesses never erected, songs never sung, books never written, ideas never nurtured, people never realized, because they were scared to take a risk. Scared like you. But you want to know something else? You're not in the graveyard yet. And we get one life, right? And every passing moment, we would never get back again. You would never start this video with the same perspective you had when you could play. You would never brush your teeth the same way twice in your life. There ain't no rewind button on life. I would never get that breath back ever again. See, this present moment is so precious. We have to be here. We have to be in it and make the most of it. We have to live our dreams now because they are possible. 6,000 years ago, man created the wheel. Only 6,000 years ago. First written language was created. 6, that's it. And if I may remind you, the airplane is only a little over 100 years old. There was no internet 50 years ago. No cell phone. So don't sit here and tell me that everything that can be done has been done when we haven't been here for very long. There are dreams, there are ideas and accomplishments that are waiting to be discovered, that are waiting for you. Helen Keller was once asked, what on earth will be worse than being born blind? She said, it will be so much worse to be born with sight, but no vision. Why can't we have cures for every disease known to man? Why can't we have clean water, food, education for every person on this planet? Why can't we have peace on this planet? Why do we have to die to go to heaven? The earth is already in space. We can have heaven right here, right now. Just a shift in this. Why not? Because somebody said it's impossible, it can't be done. I'll tell you this, there's never been a statue erected for a critic. Everybody tell you how to do it, they never did it. Moral of the story is, do you, be you. And be here now. Your dreams are possible. Stop obsessing over these celebrities, Kim Kardashian. Live your life. Step into your greatness. She said the average person dies at 25, but is buried at 75. You know what that means? Unless you figure it out. Don't let this negative world get to you. Don't let it win. Do not go where the path may lead, but go where there is no path and leave a trail.
People with ADHD save 10 hours studying with this Chrome extension. But by all means, go ahead, skip the ad, save a few seconds.
I have to do a lot of reading for my...
Okay. So, I just wanted to share that with you as we come to the end of this. And when I watched that, it felt quite profound to me to hear that. So we've got so much inside us, and I know that everybody on this webinar is capable of achieving it if you really want to. So I just want to say, don't be most people. Take that chance. Do that thing that's in your head. Take some action. It's always imperfect action every single time. You know, I never really quite know what I'm doing. I just do it. You know, follow the threads. Work on yourself, your internal game, your external, put things in place that we learn, and yeah, you got this, definitely. Get clear on your vision, your goals and your purpose, and yes.